These are the facts that made me no longer fear climate change. 1. Death from natural disasters is at an all-time low. Why? Because we have gotten wealthier and better at adapting to extreme weather. So when weather hits, more people now survive than when we were less developed, and more people would die when extreme weather would hit. So deaths are down about 95% over the past 100 years. 2. More people die from cold than from heat by about 10x. So even though we're seeing warming, we're actually seeing a net in people's lives being saved, because less extreme cold means less death from cold. And even though we've seen more extreme heat in some areas, the deaths from heat are still significantly less than the deaths from cold. 3. Global greening, understanding that CO2 is actually a plant food, and although we are adding more of it to the atmosphere, it's not something to be afraid of. It's not a pollution. It's actually a naturally occurring part of our atmosphere, and the fact that we've increased CO2 levels from 280 ppm to 420 ppm has meant that plants now have more CO2 to take out of the atmosphere and to eat and to grow, and so they're very happy about that. They're growing bigger. There's longer growing seasons also because of the warm weather. And an interesting fact, I guess this is my fourth fact for why I'm no longer afraid of climate change, is that greenhouse growers will add CO2 into greenhouses to increase the growing potential of plants, because plants love CO2 so much. So they'll increase the parts per million of CO2 up from the naturally occurring 420 ppm to in the thousands. 5. Extreme weather is not getting worse. Although every time there's a hurricane or there's a flood, you will be inundated with headlines that extreme weather is getting worse because of climate change, the statistics show globally across the past 30 years that extreme weather has stayed steady. And again, if you're just an unassuming person, the way that the media covers this, they associate every hurricane and every flood with climate change, but you have to understand that extreme weather has always existed. There's been extreme flooding and extreme storms since the dawn of time, and the only thing that's really changed is we have this 24-hour news cycle, we have social media, so every time a storm goes viral, you're then all of a sudden inundated with this messaging that it's because of climate change, it's worse because of climate change, and you should freak out, when there is no evidence that extreme weather is getting worse. It's been steady since we have accurate records across the country, across the globe, going back to the year 2000. Extreme weather has been steady. So yeah, those are the facts that make me no longer afraid of climate change. And if you are afraid of climate change, if you have a kid who's afraid of climate change, or if you want to just know more, follow along my page. My name's Lucy. I was a climate activist for half of my 20s, and now I create climate realist content, which is here to counter the most extreme alarmist narratives around climate change and make people realize that it's not an existential threat, that we actually are doing very well as a society. We're more prosperous than ever. We have a lot of abundance, and we have a lot of choice compared to what our ancestors had. And so to vilify this entire system that we've built up, capitalism and global trade systems and fossil fuels in the form of oil, coal, and natural gas, to vilify those things when they've given us so much abundance, I think is actually very destructive and needs to stop, because it's leading to bad policies, an increase in electricity costs, and a decrease in reliability of our energy grid, because we are switching out reliable forms of fossil fuels in the name of saving the climate, and we're replacing them with unreliable energy in the form of solar and wind, which is leading to higher costs and less reliability, and it's really actually a bad thing. So the more that we can live in reality that climate change, while it's happening, is not something to fear, I think we can get better policies that are based in facts and prioritize human flourishing, which in my mind, human flourishing is affordability, reliable energy, a working economy, and rules and regulations that we can all abide by, and not ridiculous things that basically just harm us and hurt us because we live modern lifestyle, and a side effect of that is fossil fuels. So thanks for following.